to make up on that time. But right now, if I can request you to please take your seats as soon as possible, please settle down. And also, a very happy New Year, a happy 2020 to all of you. And like the 2020 match, may this year be as exciting and full of a lot of enthusiasm. Yes, a little bit of nail-biting experiences also throughout, but I'm sure it's going to be rocking for all of us. We look forward to a lot of good discussions and deliberations as all of us are moving ahead towards contributing and being an important constituent towards India becoming a $5 trillion economy, a target which has been given by our Honorable Prime Minister. And it is in these 3 days with almost 1,000 plus delegates who have joined us. We have even the global experts from various countries who are part of these 3 days discussions and deliberations. We welcome them. We thank them for joining into their perspective also and sharing with us, bringing in their valuable suggestions on how India can actually aim to become a $5 trillion economy. We are right now at a $2.8 trillion, so it's almost a double which we are working at. There's going to be a lot of strategies and approaches and policy interventions, also from the corporate, from the industry. All of us need to come together. And thus in these 3 days, a lot many ground realities, the strategies, opportunities, the CMA's economic evaluation skills, the cryogenic force as we are calling it, is going to be required as we shape this $5 trillion economy. And the sessions have been accordingly planned for as we are looking at almost firing from all cylinders, that is in all sectors. There has to be, again, planning, approach has to be taken, maybe new models of our working has to be introduced in all sectors. In all sectors, in fact, the Prime Minister has given us certain targets which the industry and the academia all need to work together. So in these 3 days, we are also going to be going pretty much sector specific and a major focus on infrastructure, on agriculture, on defense. These are the 3 important sectors which we are going to be having a focus in one of our sessions. We have our experts, the global experts from USA, UK, Australia, China, Germany, Japan, South Africa, South Korea, Singapore. They are present with us, and in one of the sessions that is tomorrow, they are also going to be sharing with us some of their expertise, their models, their suggestions, and also how India should be looking forward towards aiming at this $5 trillion economy. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from the delegates whom we have joining physically here, we are also going to be connecting with almost 80,000 members and 50,000 plus students. And that's going to be through the social media, online. This is going to be telecast live. So they are also going to be pretty much a part of our discussions and deliberations. And we really look forward to great discussions from with all of you, all of us collectively working together and contributing towards the big target which we have. So please take your seats as soon as possible. Please settle down. Our Honorable Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Som Prakash ji, joins us in a short while from now as our chief guest. The very first session which we have, the inaugural session, is going to be close to 1.5 hours, after which we will be then, with a short break, we are going to be moving into our rest of the sessions. Today, as we have, just after the inaugural session, after the break, we have a plenary session wherein we have the chairman as Mr. G. Srinivasan. He's going to be chairing this session, an expert who comes from the insurance sector. We have today one technical session which is going to be post-lunch, And then we also have a special session which is in the evening, wherein we have Shri Anurag Thakur, the Honorable Minister of State for Finance and Corporate Affairs. He's going to be joining us also today in the last session of the day. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we have the technical sessions where we will be taking our 4 technical session 2, 3, 4, 5 are going to be tomorrow. And on the last day, it's going to be a half day, wherein we have our technical session 6 as we start the day 3, followed by the valedictory session, wherein we have our Honorable Union Minister of Commerce and Industry and also the Minister of Railways, Shri Piyush Goyal ji, joining us as a chief guest in the valedictory session. So this is how the sessions have been planned. I believe you already have a copy of the entire agenda. The speakers are requested to kindly have their presentations uploaded a little before time so that we do not spend time in uploading the presentations as the sessions are on. Ladies and gentlemen, I request you to please take your seats. The Honorable Minister is going to be joining us anytime now, and then we should be starting with the inaugural session. People who are at the entrance, just standing at the gate, if I can request you to be at your seats and kindly make way for the people who are moving in. Please leave the aisles unoccupied so that people can easily move in and take their seats. And a very warm welcome to all the very senior Central Council members and all the members of the Institute joining us. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a platform where everyone comes together and also a platform towards networking and sharing your own views and perspective. Apart from the speakers who are going to be there, we also look forward to a lot of interaction among the members of the audience, each one of you contributing and extending your very valuable views towards the theme. Another 2 to 3 minutes. If I can request you to kindly be seated, please also have your mobile phones in the silent mode, and let's have the hall be ready to welcome the Honorable Minister and all the dignitaries who join us in the inaugural session. People who are still outside, if I can request someone to please usher them inside so that they can take their seats as soon as possible. Aisles are unoccupied so that people can move in. Here in the VIP lounge, we are just waiting for all of you to settle down so that we can invite the Honorable Minister here. So if I can request people who are standing, kindly take your seats. Please be seated so that we can invite the Honorable Minister in the hall. The Honorable Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar to everyone, and once again wishing you all a very pleasant morning and a very hearty welcome to all our esteemed guests, distinguished dignitaries, special invitees, all the professionals and experts, national as well as international delegates joining us. Welcome to all of you to the Global Summit 2020. As the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, the premier institute specializing in cost and management accountancy, is all ready to take charge in the beginning of this year, in fact, the beginning of this new decade, to propel a more holistic, proactive, pro-people, inclusive, equitable, resource-oriented, environmentally sustainable, a more transparent and open growth of our country, so that we can achieve the apex target of becoming a $5 trillion economy by 2024, a target which has been given by our Honorable Prime Minister, which right now might appear to be an apogee, that is the furthest point from the Earth in the terrestrial orbit. But then, given the right kind of combustion and acceleration from almost all entities, the government, academia, the research people, the technocrats, the startups, the professionals, and further fueled by the cryogenic force of the CMAs and the economic evaluation skills providing the right kind of momentum and thrust, this target is achievable. So all of us are present here to share in our views and perspective, and probably this conference can be a launch pad and a Chintan Baitak towards taking this aspirational flight of $5 trillion economy. So as we take on this exploration and mission to achieve and reach the final frontier, we are really thankful to our Honorable Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Shri Som Prakash ji, for joining us. Thank you, sir, for gracing the occasion and being our Honorable Chief Guest. And would like to request the President of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and the Vice President to please escort the Honorable Minister here on the dais. Requesting CMA Balwinder Singh ji and CMA Biswaroop Basu ji to please escort our Minister. We're really glad to also have Mr. Alan Johnson present with us, the Deputy President of the International Federation of Accountants. May I request the Chairman Technical Committee, CMA Ashwinji Dalwadi, to please escort him here on the dais. Inviting CMA Manoj Mishra, Chairman and Managing Director of National Fertilizers Limited, our special guest. And may I request CMA Vijender Sharma ji, the Chairman Organizing Committee, to please escort him here on the dais. So once again, welcome to all our honorable dignitaries here on the dais, and to welcome everyone here on the dais and everyone present here, may I request CMA Ashwinji Dalwadi, the Chairman Technical Committee of the Global Summit 2020, inviting him to deliver his welcome address.
Good morning, and wishing you a happy and a prosperous 2020. Honorable Minister of State, Commerce and Ministry, Sri Som Prakash ji, Mr. Alan Johnson, Deputy President IFAC, Shri Mishra ji, Balvinder ji, President, Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Biswarup Basu ji, Vice President of Cost Accountants of Institute of India, CMA Vijender Sharma, my colleague in the council, and organizing committee chairman of this summit, dignitaries of the dais, speakers from foreign countries, Professor Graham Terry from South Africa, Mr. Manoj Jain from Singapore, Professor Lukmika Pereira from Australia, Mr. Paul Sherman from Canada, and Mr. Alan Hatfield from UK. Guests from foreign countries, other countries, neighbor countries, Professor Lakshman Vatawala from Sri Lanka, Mr. H.M. Hemnayaka Bandara from Sri Lanka, and Sri Krishna Prasad Acharya from Nepal. Galaxy of former past presidents of the Institute, my colleagues in the council, regional council, chapters, and representatives from institutional partners, ACCA, SEMA, Sri Lanka, associate partner CII to this summit, participants, representatives from the organizations supporting this event, and representatives from press and media. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me an immense pleasure to extend my warm welcome to you on behalf of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India to this Global Summit 2020, Mission 5 Trillion, CMA as a Cryogenic Force. Let me take this opportunity to bring about the clarity and thought process behind the choosing this particular theme for this global summit. We at the Institute were looking for choosing an appropriate topic for the summit, which is of the interest for all and have a major impact on the lives, our lives, and where the world at large is also interested. And as a CMA, we have a constructive role to play. Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi has set goal to achieve $5 trillion economy by 2024. Mission 5 trillion, it is a fitting to our definition for global summit, as I explained earlier. The government and other players of the economy are lining up meticulous efforts and different initiatives, and along with the huge investment to achieve the goal. And foreign countries are also keen to play their own role to take their share from this 5 trillion economy. Now, world over, accountants are known as cold, humorless persons in a gray suits. We ask ourselves that our CMS are cold or too cold? Cryogenic. Let me explain the word cryogenic. Cryogenic is a state which refers to a sub-zero environment that is minus 273 degrees centigrade, too cold temperature. Why this topic has been chosen is the most synthetic processes route for many products requires a sub-zero or very low temperature reactions. Necessity for this low temperature may be due to to generate and stabilize ambient transient reactive intermediates or slow down the reactions to avoid undesired reactions and or improve stereoselectivity. This is the scientific definition. But look, in India, we are using cryogenic technology for rocket science, particularly India and Russia. See, in case of rockets, we traverse at the very high speed. Lot of cross-side forces are generated, which needs lot of energy to stabilize the rockets. When the economy is to grow at a very high speed, of course, we are passing through some sort of little bit turbulent period, but it is likely to go away very soon. When the economy is to grow at a very high speed, naturally, we need to stabilize the horizontal forces, reactive forces, like increase in disparity between poor and rich, leaving natural resources for the leaving no natural resources for the next generation, etc. We found that there is a need to have cryogenic forces also, and that is how we finalize our theme of this summit, Mission 5 Trillion, CMA as a cryogenic force. Sri Narendra Modi has said in his message to this summit that government's approach has been to reform with intent, perform with integrity, and transform with intensity. As CMA, our role in a Mission 5 Trillion is going to be main players as an enabler and facilitators and promoters to realize the dream of achieving Mission 5 Trillion by addressing the seemingly irreconcilable trinity of equity, efficiency, and sustainability. CMAs actually help in generating and stabilizing the intermediate shocks for our growth pangs. CMA may be cool, but they are a cryogenic force. CMAs have a key role to play in implementation of strategies for achieving 5 trillion economy through participation in management decision-making processes, devising planning and performance management systems, and providing expertise in financial reporting and control to assist management in formulation and implementation of organization strategy. CMAs not only crunch numbers for internal review and budget analysis, but also contribute to strategic business decisions by providing insight into the financial conditions of the company. Furthermore, they coordinate with other performance managers to propose improvements to realize not only the economic, but the broader social and environmental goals. With this background and thought process, we have come up with the idea of this global summit, which has been structured around 6 technical sessions, starting with the plenary session, Mission 5 Trillion Strategies. Other technical sessions deals with Mission 5 Trillion levers, driving SDG Sustainable Development Goals through CMS, driving value creation through governance, cost management strategy, tools, Mission 5 Trillion Global Management Practices, and Mission 5 Trillion sector-specific CMA cryogenic roles. Each of these sessions, technical sessions, would be dealt with by the experts in the respective field through insightful deliberations and presentations, providing participants and a wide and a multifaceted perspective. I assure you a good takeaway from this summit. And on behalf, I once again welcome one and all and wish you a very constructive, enlightening, and fruitful participation in this summit. I hope that you will also, particularly for foreign personalities visiting India, I hope that you will also take some time during your visit and stay over here and enjoy our country's diversity. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughts on the theme and also how the entire conference has been structured. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we formally inaugurate the conference as per our Indian tradition and customs by lighting the ceremonial lamp. May I request the Honorable Minister, Shri Som Prakash Ji, to please light the lamp with all the dignitaries here on the dais, also requesting them. And alongside, ladies and gentlemen, we also have the motto song of the Institute. And any institute with long-term vision and goals inevitably has a motto song which underlines its principle, ethos, the approach, the direction. So we also play the motto song as we light the lamp. So we have the formal inauguration of the summit as per our Indian traditions and invoking the blessings of the Supreme Power, and along with the motto song also underlining the principles on which the Institute has been working on. With that, we would also like to formally welcome our distinguished guest here on the dais, and as we once again thank the Honorable Minister for joining us as the chief guest and leading the discussions here, would like to request the President CMA, Balwinder Singh Ji, to kindly welcome the Honorable Minister, and also requesting Vice President CMA Biswaroop Basu Ji to please felicitate the Honorable Minister. If we can have the plant and the Angavastam, please. And as we express our gratitude also, a special memento being presented to the Honorable Minister. And as we welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Alan Johnson, may I request the Chairman Technical Committee, CMA Ashwinji Dalwadi, to kindly welcome him. As we present the plan, this is in fact a commitment from everyone towards sustainable development, which we've been talking about, a balanced growth of the economy, the economic growth, also taking care of our environment, our natural resources. And as we welcome CMA Manoj Mishra ji, may I request the Chairman Organizing Committee, CMA Vijendra Sharma ji, to please present him the plant as we welcome him with a commitment of sustainable development, and also to further felicitate him and present the memento. Thank you, sir. And ladies and gentlemen, CMA Dilwadi ji had mentioned about the message from the Prime Minister, which I would take the privilege of reading out to you. The Prime Minister has mentioned, it is a pleasure to learn that the Institute of Cost Accountants of India is hosting the Global Summit 2020 with the theme, Mission 5 Trillion CMA as a Cryogenic Force. In the last 5 years now, our government's approach has been to reform with intent, perform with integrity, and transform with intensity. Our focus is on governance that is professional and process-driven. We are acting as enabler, facilitator, and promoter to realize the dream of $5 trillion economy. From improving physical and financial infrastructure of the country to promoting Indian industry and global platform, from repealing 1,500 obsolete laws to the simplification of rules and procedure, we are moving ahead with all-round approach. For us, the target of $5 trillion economy is a milestone to achieve larger goals. Besides size of the economy, this target is directly connected with the ease of living and better tomorrow for our 130 crore Indians. As I understand, the participants at the summit will discuss the way forward to achieve this goal and propel economic growth to a higher trajectory. The deliberations will come up with suggestions from an implementable roadmap to fast-track the economic growth. I wish the discussions at the Global Summit 2020 all success. Shri Narendra Modi. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the message of our Honorable Prime Minister, on which we look forward to working with all of you. And with that, I would like to request the President of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, CMA Balwinder Singh ji, to please share his views and perspective on the theme, as I request him and invite him for the theme address.
Very distinguished Shri Som Prakash ji, Honorable Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, CMA Vishwarup Basu ji, Vice President of the Institute, Mr. Alan Johnson, Deputy President, International Federation of Accountants, CMA Manoj Mishra ji, Chairman and Managing Director, National Fertilizers Limited, CMA Ashwin Dilwadi ji, Central Council Member and Chairman of the Technical Committee of this Global Summit, CMA Vijendra Sharma ji, Central Council Member and Chairman of Organizing Committee of this Global Summit, my council colleagues, past presidents, members of regional councils and chapters, distinguished guests and dignitaries, participants from corporate world and professionals, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege to present the theme of the Global Summit 2020. Honorable Prime Minister of India has set a goal to make India a $5 trillion sized economy by the year 2024. The size of the Indian economy is currently around rupees 190 lakh crore, which comes out to be $2.8 trillion. This means the Indian economy needs to almost double its size by 2024 to realize the target of reaching the $5 trillion mark. Looking at the last 5 years of Indian economy, On an average, India has grown at about 8%. The challenge for India is really to grow at high rates year after year. If India grows at 12% nominal growth, that is 8% real GDP growth and 4% inflation, then from the 2018 level of $2.7 trillion, India would reach the 5.33 trillion mark in the year 2024. But last year, India grew by just 6.8%. This year, most observers expect it is likely to grow by 7%. So India must keep growing at a rapid pace to attain this target. The Economic Survey 2018-19 highlighted that international experience, especially from high-growth East Asian economies, suggested that such growth can only be sustained by a virtuous cycle of savings, investment, and exports, catalyzed and supported by a favorable demographic phase. Apart from the monetary definition of $5 trillion economy calls for pulling all the economic growth levers, that is investment, consumption, exports, and across all the sectors of agriculture, manufacturing, and services. Over the last 4 years, the government has scrapped a number of laws, over 1,500 to be precise. India has done away with a lot of procedures, rules, and regulations. Government has tried to digitize the Indian economy. It has tried to see that every single department of the government speaks to its applicants digitally. Through a series of reforms, India has jumped up 65 positions in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business. No other large country has been able to do so. We have jumped up 65 positions, but our challenge is that in the next 2 years, we must reach the top 50, and the next 5 years, reach the top 25. All this nitty-gritty of the US $5 trillion economy is the agenda of this 3-day Global Summit 2020. The event has been divided into 6 sessions and 1 plenary session. The plenary session is followed by this inaugural session and deals with the strategies to be adopted for achieving the target of US $5 trillion economy. This represents the deliberations from the viewpoint of industry, service providers, and regulators, and will set the tone of the deliberations. The technical session 1 will be dealing with the levers of US $5 trillion economy. With the introduction of new cutting-edge technologies almost every single day, organizations are becoming aware of need to don the digital mantle. They are increasing adoptive, innovative solutions that can help them stay relevant in today's hyper-competitive environment. Most Indians now have digital identities with 1 billion plus mobile phones, 560 million plus internet connections, and 350 million plus additional bank accounts opened since 2014. Our digital economy has reached scale. We are already capitalizing on this through new payment modes, e-commerce, and startup entrepreneurship. The opportunity for business leaders and organizations is to assess and think upon ways to strategically leverage emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., for better business outcomes through real-time and productive process, and various analyses leading to reduction in waste, improved efficiency of processes, and better control on operations of the business. The reduction in transaction cost as a result of digital banking would also improve financial inclusion. This would bring about a drastic change in the cost management approach and the models in the banking sector. The second technical session will focus on driving SDG through CMA. Sustainable development is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. At a policy level, SDG addresses the trinity of equity, efficiency, and sustainability. Our pursuit of dream of $5 trillion economy makes it mandatory to emphasize on green accounting and budgeting for the social externality cost of growth. Target costing and activity-based costing in the health sector presents an opportunity to radically improve the operational delivery of patient care. Single-use plastic waste management is a global concern. The true cost of single-use plastic has not been clearly defined or analyzed. Life cycle costing concept would be useful in considering what externalities and expenses should be included. Sustainability accounting may be the next emerging issue of the accountants. The third technical session, it would focus on driving value through governance. Achieving governance is complex and it involves economics, politics, and fundamental aspects of human nature, as well as business and markets. As providers of financial information to support better decision-making, accountants play a key role in governance. The session, fourth technical session, will deal with the cost management strategies and tools. The businesses need to change to a sustainable value business model, which ensures that the efforts and investment required must provide a measurable return on the balance sheet and have a positive impact on all stakeholders, reflecting a fundamental shift toward real sustainability. To achieve high performance, strategic cost management is recommended so that the companies create maximum impact sustainable development by using a timely combination of tactical cost reduction, proactive cost governance, cost management as core value, cost management as business design, measuring and monitoring ROI on all spends. The fifth technical session will provide insights into global cost management practices. It is imperative to understand the costing system and practices being followed by companies in various countries, including Japan, China, and Canada. Cost management programs used in these countries are an integration of various cost management techniques, that is target costing, activity-based costing, value engineering, inter-organizational cost management systems, product costing, operational control, and Kaizen. The sixth session will focus on Mission 5 trillion, sector-specific CMA cryogenic role. As discussed, the $5 trillion economy calls for putting all the economic growth levers, that is investment, consumption, exports, and all across three sectors, agriculture, manufacturing, services. Infrastructure is a significant for countries' growth. The government is planning to build infrastructure throughout the country as per the requirements of 21st century, with investments in the building of infra in all sectors. Honorable Prime Minister has announced Housing for All by 2022 scheme, targeting 2 crore houses to be built across all urban locations over the next 5 years. In the defense sector, there is need to identify key components and systems and encourage global companies to set up manufacturing base in India. CMA professionals has a major role in the nation building in the domains of de-risking economy by ensuring transparency and efficiency in the corporate sector of economy, strengthening the execution of national initiatives such as Make in India, Digital India, Skill India, Swachh Bharat, and smart cities through superior resource allocation and performance tracking. CMS play an all-important role in implementation of strategies for achieving $5 trillion economy through participation in management decision-making, devising planning and performance management systems, and providing expertise in financial reporting and control to assist management in the formulation and implementation of organizational strategy. With expertise in the areas of financial analysis and financial planning, such as budgeting and forecasting, internal control, reporting, and professional ethics, CMS have a critical role to play in creating strategies to improve and manage various internal and external risks, developing governance structures, including monitoring and administrating of compliances. CMS are instrumental in driving sustainability development goals as they work in the domains of accounting, corporate finance, and strategy teams in an organization. CMS analyze the data from multiple sources to inform performance improvement. I'm really delighted to inform that we will be listening to the experiences and knowledge sharing by the galaxy of speakers from India and abroad. I'm looking forward to Deputy President, International Federation of Accountants, Mr. Alan Johnson's keynote address on the role of management accounting profession in economic development. There will be other renowned foreign speakers and also the Indian stalwarts who will be sharing their experiences with the audience. Whereas I'm sure that you will be having a great time listening to them and building your capacity. I expect that the deliberations during this summit will be fruitful and will help the professionals to enrich their knowledge and hone their skills in order to able to perform in a better way. With this, I conclude and welcome on behalf of the Institute of Cost Governance India, everybody here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your thoughts on the theme and also the very important and the responsible role of the CMAs towards driving it. And ladies and gentlemen, towards the target of $5 trillion economy, one of the target which our Honorable Prime Minister has given is also towards doubling the farmers' income by 2022. And we are glad that we have the Chairman and Managing Director of National Fertilizers Limited, CMA Manoj Mishra ji, present with us. So more on the industry and sector specific and the more important role of the CMAs towards it. May I request him to kindly address this August gathering.
Good morning. Honorable Shri Som Prakash ji, Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, our Shri Barinder Singh ji, President Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Shri Viswarup Basu, Vice President, and my other colleagues on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, achieving mission to make India a $5 trillion economy by 2024-25 was very challenging a year back when it was announced. And even at that time, slowdown signs had started. Now with GDP growth projected at 5%, it has become even more challenging. But in spite of this, it is worth applauding that the government has embarked on this ambitious target. Even if it is not by 2024-25, we'll definitely be meeting it very soon. As you know, our government has already undertaken various measures, reforms such as Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, RERA, labor reforms, a reduction in corporate tax to improve confidence of investors to bring in more investment in India. And due to these reforms, countries' ease of doing business ranking on global basis are also improved. After breaking into the top 100 rank a few years back in ease of doing business, this year government is targeting to reach top 50 ranking. And actually, you see where we were maybe 5-6 years back, we actually traveled a long road, and of course, a lot of road we have yet to travel. And something special about this $5 trillion target, $5 trillion target, have to be seen in terms of that this target is in terms of US dollars. In India, we can have some target in Indian rupees, and if we translate, because the inflation is very high here, if we translate and the exchange rate keeps on changing, if the rupee weakens, then again, so having a target in US dollars itself is a big change. Of course, if one person, one prime minister, one government, or one finance minister says that I have to reach in 5 years $5 trillion economy, obviously it will not be happening. If each one of us, each industry, each segment, actually each segment, we start doing our own, we can definitely achieve. And as mentioned, I will speak about our fertilizer industry. This fertilizer industry is comprising of 4 or 5, as we mentioned, NPK, nitrogen, phosphate, phosphorus, and potash. In nitrogen, we are dependent almost 25% on imports as far as output is concerned. Urea, all of us know, urea, we are dependent on imports. Our consumption is 32 million tons, and we have imported, last year we imported 7 million tons. So you can imagine our dependence on that. And even the remaining 24 million tons, which we had been producing indigenously, out of that also, our dependence on imported LNG is close to 70%. So that kind of dependence you can see. And I will not talk about other potash. We are 100% dependence because we do not have any source of potash here. And also in DAP, in terms of either raw material or finished goods or intermediates, we are again dependent on 90%. But I will speak more on urea. I said last year we had imported 7 million ton urea. And can you imagine, in the course of 5 years, I mean 2 years which have gone by and maybe another 2 years which are going to come, 7 million tons or rather 8 billion tons of production, urea production capacity, indigenous urea production capacity is going to come in India, and the investment is to the tune of 50,000 crores. So that is the kind of investment that's coming. My own company, along with EIL, we are setting up a urea plant in southern states, in Telangana, Ramagundam. Like the emphasis of the government is also on the eastern, so to develop eastern India, because a lot of plants are coming up in East India, Sindri, Barauni, Gorakhpur, and of course in West Bengal, Barauni, and in West Bengal, Durgapur, Matix is already, has already been commissioned. So, I mean, it's not empty talk. Each industry, in each segment of the industry, we are working, the government is working. I being from a central public sector undertaking. So to some extent, I can speak on behalf of the government also. So we are investing. So we are reaching that level. Whether will we reach by 2024 or 25 or not, that is a different thing. Here, I mean, as far as the role of CMA is concerned, I mean, obviously, cost and management accountant can play a key and essential role in achieving the target of government. And some of the key roles, which of course I'm sure in the next course of next 2-3 days we'll all be discussing. It is the improving transparency through high quality corporate reporting, facilitating mobilization of domestic and international investment, because unless investment come, this target will be difficult. Helping reduction in corruption and mismanagement of resources through better cost management and management reporting. Helping identifying wasteful expenditure, unutilized resources, other inefficiencies and fraud. Of course, we have been doing all this all along. Better corporate governance through compliance of disclosure norms. Now, a lot of disclosure norms are there. We as Cost Council will have to do that. And the crucial role in the process of merger and consolidation, IBC, NCLT, etc. Strengthening the execution of various government initiatives, such as Make in India, Digital India, through better resource allocation and cost management performance tracking. And I can go on and on, of course, but you will all be discussing all this. And I sincerely thank Mr. Balwinder Singh ji for inviting me on this plenary session. And I wish this global summit a great success, and all of you have a wonderful interaction over the course of next 3 days. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your perspective. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the keynote address by Mr. Alan Johnson, who currently chairs the IFAC's Planning and Finance Committee. He's the Deputy Chair of the Nominating Committee. And he's also the Non-Executive Director of the UK Department for International Development and chairs its Audit and Risk Assurance Committee. He's also on the Board of Trustees of the International Valuation Standards Council. And he earlier has worked for Unilever for almost 30 years in the finance and the operational roles. I request Mr. Alan Johnson for his keynote address on global economic growth and accountancy profession.
Thank you. Good morning, Honorable Minister Prakash, CMA President Singh, Vice President Basu, CMA Dalwadi, the Chair of the Technical Committee 2020 of the Global Summit, and CMA Sharma, the Chairman of the Organizing Committee, CMA Mishra, CMA Saraf, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. As Deputy President of the International Federation of Accountants, I'm proud that on behalf of IFAC and its members, I can represent your work in a global context. The ICAI is one of IFAC's founding members, joined when IFAC was formed. IFAC today has about 170 members from over 130 countries. And through our members, we support over 3 million professional accountants in the world, which is a force for good in the global economy. ICAI is a very distinguished member of IFAC, and for over 75 years, you have served and supported India's remarkable economic development. I would also like to recognize the many distinguished speakers on this program. It is a true honor for IFAC to be a participant at this prestigious event, and it is a real pleasure to be here today with you. The vibrancy of India and your contribution to our profession makes this country the perfect host for the World Congress of Accountants in 2022 in Mumbai. We are all greatly looking forward to what will no doubt be an inspirational global event. Throughout my remarks, my message will be quite simple. Professional accountants are necessary to drive economic growth and in support of the public interest. I will reflect on the profession's role in economic growth by considering perhaps the most important trends facing businesses around the world. Particularly today, one of the things that is most urgent, which is the challenge of the climate emergency. I will turn to how we as a profession can contribute to economic growth. India's 5 trillion GDP target calls on professional accountants to lead and add value to the economy. And I will focus on several aspects of the profession's contribution to sustainable economic growth, including sustainable development growth, good corporate governance, effective measures against fraud and corruption, commitment to ethics, and strong public sector accounting practices, and last but certainly not least, in trust. The impacts of technology on business and on governments and society generally are disruptive, rapid, and profound. IFAC's Technology Advisory Group studies which technology trends are likely to impact the economy and our profession. We focused on 4 key developments referred to as ABCD: artificial intelligence, blockchain, cybersecurity, and data. AI and blockchain are already here, but for most businesses, access to sophisticated AI and blockchain systems are some years off. Cybersecurity and data offer promising areas for professional accountants to add value in the economy. Professional accountants are particularly important in assessing risk management processes and ensuring adequate recovery planning from cyber threats, measuring risks and return on investment based on potential breaches and data theft, and finding ways to mitigate risks with controls around data and policies for breaches. As for data, accountants are well versed in core financial and management reporting principles of relevance, reliability, completeness, and accuracy in order to support business decisions. With a strong foundation in principles of what contributes to value, accountants can lead the way to ensure data is subjected to a strong governance framework. And I will add an E to ABCD, which is for ethics. Our profession has a critical role to play to ensure that all new tools, processes, and technologies that organizations adopt and use are employed ethically. IFAC sees 7 emerging roles for professional accountants. First, the co-pilot. We lead strategically, facilitate change, and influence people and decisions. The navigator. We steer an organization towards value creation and sustained profitability by providing actionable insights. As brand protectors, we manage the organization and its reputation through stewardship of tangible and intangible assets and financial and non-financial performance. As storytellers, we enlighten all stakeholders across the organization and outside the organization on its narrative, how it creates value over time, and the opportunities and challenges it faces. As digital and technology enablers, we drive business to use data and make decisions in order to grow. As process and control experts, we drive efficient and effective end-to-end processes and workflows across the organization. And finally, the trusted professional. We challenge the organization and we challenge ourselves. With professional objectivity, we live by the ethical principles of professional accountancy. The Code for Ethics for Professional Accountants, produced by ESBA and facilitated by IFAC, is the gold standard for these principles. Greta Thunberg said she was one of just millions who passionately believe in taking climate action. Her generation wants to work for a purpose-driven organization that will make a positive impact in society. And our profession is a path for them to realize their ambitions and aspirations, which are critical to economic growth. This is apparent in the depth of the current climate emergency. India has felt its terrible effects. According to one expert, global warming has destroyed the concept of the monsoon. Long dry spells and violent floods have taken the lives of thousands of Indians and put tens of millions on the brink of poverty. The economic dimension of the climate emergency is clear, and so is the need to adapt to these new realities to pursue economic growth. The UN's Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, are the globally accepted guidelines that professional accountants can use to lead the changes that business and governance must make. I want to acknowledge India's commitment to the SDGs. Prime Minister Modi put it very well, Sabka Sat, Sot, Sabka Vikas, which when I checked, it said development with all and development for all. That is the spirit the rest of the world should embrace. India's actions to meet the SDGs are commendable. The government has set goals and guidelines for making progress. The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has developed a system of metrics for national SDG actions. But as accountants, we know measuring the effects of a policy program is every bit as important as setting it in motion. We have seen several major SDG initiatives in the past few years from India's national and state governments. Make in India, Skill India, and Digital India amongst them, and that has been referred to already. Professional accountants are relevant to the success of each of these initiatives. Globally, IFAC has identified 8 SDGs in which we, the profession, can make and have a direct impact. They touch nearly every aspect of social and economic life. SDG 8, quality education. 5, gender diversity. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth. SDG 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. Climate action. Peace, justice, and strong institutions, and finally, partnership for the goals. And I would like to emphasize that these are development goals. They're essential not just for sustainability, but also for economic growth. Quality education is how we boost our profession's talent pool, empower professionals to find initiatives and innovative solutions to social and economic problems, reduce inequality in the job market, and financial resources available to men and women alike. Professional accountancy organizations have a large role to play in meeting the SDGs, particularly as technology transforms our profession and how we work. Gender equality is a goal of quality education, but also a significant goal in its own right. I would just also like to point out that as of the beginning of this year, on the IFAC board, we now have 12 females and 11 males. So we are very proud that we've achieved gender equality, and we will encourage all of our member organizations around the world to follow the same direction, because a diverse profession is a resilient profession, and a resilient profession will be a powerful engine for economic growth. In many countries, the share of women entering the accountancy profession is far too low, and the professional needs to continue to champion diversity of gender. Decent work and economic growth go hand in hand. We can see the effects of a lack of decent work among the poor in India. When people are working hard and barely scraping by, they can hardly find the time or financial resources for schooling and professional training, and as a result, the economy suffers. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure are self-explanatory, but I would like to take a moment to talk about infrastructure, which has also been mentioned earlier in particular. In many ways, the other two goals, industry and innovation, need infrastructure. Rail, road, electric grids, telecommunications networks are all vital for innovation, and particularly in day-to-day life. And I have observed as I travel around the world that economic success stories tend to begin with good infrastructure. India can benefit from the track record of developing countries and harness greater infrastructure investments for greater economic growth. And professional accountants need to support the public and private sector in accessing long-term finance to support such infrastructure investments. Responsible consumption and production are not just goals for individuals. They're also goals for organizations. The social benefits of greater attention to an organization's total effect, and not just like on markets and economies, but for example, the environment and the welfare of their workers, will be exceptionally important as regulators and shareholders take holistic views about value creation in a more robust way. Economic growth is not just about the financial bottom line. It is about creating a more just society so that everyone benefits. And climate action is, of course, central not just to the stability and growth of markets and economies, but we have seen in India and around the world also for the welfare of people. And I would like to add that the need for fundamental shifts in accounting practices is becoming more and more pressing. Corporate reporting is at the heart of the issue. Many reporting frameworks and disclosure requirements target only pieces of the picture and of an organization's ability to create value. Too often, environmental concerns do not even make them clear in these reports. The resulting complexity and lack of comparability can lead to inefficiency and increased costs. In other words, obstacles to economic growth. Peace, justice, and strong institutions are the bedrock of all of these goals. Equality, welfare, growth, environmental protections, none of these are possible without the oversight of strong public institutions. And where there is peace and justice, there's much greater opportunity to fulfill our economic ambitions. To look again to the future of the profession, the more we project ourselves and act in the interest of the public and in meeting the SDGs, the more self-evident our appeal to young people will be to join our profession. This broad view of the future and the role of the businesses and the success or failure of this view leads naturally to discussing corporate governance. Corporate governance is closely tied to economic growth. When we consider recent major corporate failures around the world, much discussion in the wake has been pointing fingers, but everyone in the ecosystem of corporate governance plays a key role in keeping companies running, people employed, and stakeholders happy. Directors, audit committees, executives, managers, preparers, and auditors, all of them must give the right guidance or input at some point in the key functions of corporate governance. Good governance in Indian institutions in a rapidly evolving global economy will require redoubled efforts from our profession. Getting good outcomes is never ending. It's a difficult process. There's no shortcut in instilling and maintaining a culture of good governance, but there is also no path to consistent growth and strong growth without it. ICAI members can and will fulfill their role as leaders in corporate governance to help make the development goals a reality. The variety and the challenges we face extend across all sectors of the economy. As professional accountants, we need to drive sustainable growth, not just in the service sector and not just in the industrial sector, but throughout the Indian economy. If we do not, we must not assume someone else will, and the consequences for the stability and growth of India's economy will be significant. I would now like to turn to an important intersection of issues: fraud and corruption, ethics, public sector accounting, and trust. Transparent, responsive, and accountable institutions are vital to improving lives and implementing a sustainable development agenda in India and around the world. Fraud and corruption challenge these institutions and the well-being of people that they serve, and they are an impediment to growth, costing the global economy more than $2 trillion every year, some 3% of global GDP. Or put that in context, that is 40% of the $5 trillion ambition for 2024 for India. Sadly, those affected most by fraud and corruption are the poorest in society. When public services fail, people suffer. When illicit activity leads to corporate failures, when simple theft hits someone's savings, working people, ordinary people, have the most to lose. As public perceptions of the social responsibilities of businesses change, looking at those outcomes, the things that make or break the lives of millions and the fabric of society will be evident not just as a moral issue, but as an expectation from shareholders and regulators. We know that a strong accountancy profession is correlated with lower levels of fraud and corruption, and by the way, to higher levels of economic growth. Ethics is a big piece in the puzzle. Clearly, fraud and corruption are ethical issues, and one of IFAC's top priorities is promoting ethics and integrity amongst professional accountants. Our commitment to ethics are part of our public interest mandate, and it distinguishes our profession and helps us navigate current and emerging issues. The International Code for Professional Accountants lays out 5 principles for accountants to abide by: integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, and of course, professional behavior. And collective action to fight fraud and corruption must be a joint goal of governments, businesses, and civil society. And our profession has an important role to play, grounded in these principles. This collective action should include increasing transparency, committing to whistleblower protection, and creating formal mechanisms to fight financial crime, money laundering, bribery, and data breaches. And IFAC continues to commit to reinforcing its professional ethics and making resources available for individual accountants to take on this effort. While we have been taking new strides in promoting our code, its 5 fundamental principles have not changed. I believe that they distinguish our profession amongst all others and underpin our ethical decision-making. They are gold standard, and they should be celebrated. We know our profession is critical in helping build a stronger, more resilient public sector, particularly in the fight against corruption. And that role has never been more important than it is now. The level of trust in governments and our ability to chart the course to a sustainable future is falling. And I want to stress public sector, which represents a large proportion of many economies. In many countries, particularly in Asia, public sector undertakings are critical to economic development. And this is particularly important in India, where we believe that roughly 20% of the economy is in the public sector. And that prominent role in the Indian state of many industries, the role of the public sector accountants in the continued economic growth of the Indian economy will be enormous. Good practices and a steadfast commitment to the ethics of our profession, which our profession embodies, will drive growth and sustainable growth. Particularly in India, where professional accountants in public sector undertakings face a variety of expectations and decisions in the context not only of the Indian regulatory environment, but also a fragmented global regulatory environment. These standards will help set up public sector undertakings for success. The Edelman Trust Barometer, a global public survey, shows that only half the respondents trust businesses, NGOs, and governments. In part, this reflects the fallout of the uneven distribution of economic benefits since the global financial crisis, which undermined the credibility of many pillars of society and the global economy. But I would like to say something about India. India scored 72% on the Trust Index, while the rest of the world averaged 52%. And trust in government in India is at 74%. Nearly 75% of Indians express trust in the professionalism of accountants with respect to the management of tax. So, exceptionally high trust in Indian institutions and in professional accountants reflects your hard work and your leadership. You have helped create the conditions for strong economic growth to date, and your work can go a long way in sustaining these conditions and making future growth a reality. The link between these issues and India's economic growth is clear, as is the link between professional accountants' actions and the public interest. Ladies and gentlemen, your Global Summit 2020 covers many important topics relevant to our profession. We are looking to the future of India's economy, and India's growth is important to the global economic development. That means we are looking to sustainable growth in the public interest and how we as professional accountants fit into that picture. We are looking at professional ethics, at the fraud and corruption they mitigate, at the crucial role of public sector accounting in living up to our commitment to the public interest. And we are looking to leverage our role as trusted partners and business advisors. In a low-trust environment, millions have joined the movement led by Greta Thunberg. Her clear, compelling narrative about the urgency of sustainable development appeals directly to our abilities and our role as financial accountants. So I'm optimistic about the accountancy profession's capabilities to address tomorrow's challenges. I thank you again for the opportunity to speak to you, and on behalf of IFAC, to recognize ICAI's leadership for all the work you do to advance the profession in the public interest, and particularly in your support of India's mission to achieve 5 trillion. Dhanyawad. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving in your global perspective and, in fact, an independent perspective on the key levers and the key drivers towards propelling the growth of the Indian economy and the important role, in fact, the CMAs which should be playing and they should be concentrating on to make the development goals a reality. And your optimism definitely encourages everyone. With that, may I request now our Honorable Minister, Shri Som Prakash Ji, the Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, to please address this August gathering.
Respected Ashwinji Dalwandi Vadi, Vijinder Sharma Ji, respected Sardar Baravinder Singh Ji, President, the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, respected Manoj Mishra Ji, and Shri Alan Johnson Ji, Shri Vishwaru Basu Ji, it is my proud privilege to participate in 3 days Cost Accountants Global Summit 2020. Our Prime Minister Narendra Bhai Modi Ji, while addressing world leaders and CEOs of different countries, global CEOs, Prime Minister declared that we are poised to achieve $5 trillion economy by 2024. It was a challenging job. How to achieve this target? Department of Industries had consultations with different departments, with different ministries, different organizations, and different stakeholders, industrialists, their associations, and prepared a roadmap for that, how to achieve this target. For this, to achieve this target is very difficult task, not impossible task. We have to work very hard. All these stakeholders have to work very hard. We have to increase exports and make efforts to increase exports and reduce the imports from different countries. The roadmap which we have prepared, under that, agriculture sector will contribute $1 trillion towards this, and manufacturing sector also 1 trillion, and 3 trillion will come from service sector. These all, adding all these sectors, we can achieve the target of $5 trillion economy aim. And MSME has to contribute 36% of the investment in GDP. This is a big target which Prime Minister has given to us. It's a challenging job, and Government of India has started many schemes in this regard. Make in India, Startup scheme, Stand Up India, Mudra scheme, Jandan scheme, Scale India, Digital India, Smart City scheme, and many other schemes we have started to achieve this target, and all the stakeholders are working hard. Various meetings have been held, various consultations have been held with them. We all are working jointly to achieve this target. And various tax reforms has been taken in July 2017. In the tax structure, GST was introduced, which is prevalent in various countries of the world. And to achieve this target, we have taken steps in the direction of ease of doing business. It's my proud privilege to announce that all of you know also that in the ease of doing business, we have jumped 79 points, and during 2018 and 19, we have crossed 14 more points. We are at 63rd position in the world, which is very encouraging to us. India has become a destination of investment, and to achieve this target, we are constantly taking steps so that we can achieve the target. And we have given rebate of income tax to corporate sectors, which amounts to 1,45,000 crores, and recapitalization of banks, 70,000 crores, and the Finance Ministry has also merged the 10 banks in 4 banks so that they can advance loans to various sectors, MSMEs and other industries, and to encourage the real sector. And the government has provided 25,000 crores to restart the stalled projects in the real sectors. And in FDI policy also, government has taken steps so that FDI, it should become easy to come to India. And in this sector, government is very liberal policy has been adopted through automatic route, 100%, in most of the cases 100% FDI is allowed. And other sectors which also are very important, government is investing 102 crores, 102 lakh crores in infrastructure, provided infrastructure, so that we all make, by these combined efforts, we can achieve these targets. And your body of the cost accountants can play a very vital role in the achievement of this target. As you advise your clients how to save tax, I don't say how to evade the tax, to save the tax, you play very big role. They are dependent upon you, all the clients, industry, trade, dependent upon you people. And you can play big role. You have large number, 85,000 members. You can play a big role in achieving the ambitious target which Prime Minister has set before us. My humble request to you is, let us make all efforts, all out efforts, and do whatever we can do to achieve this target. India is becoming a global power, a big power. Prime Minister of India has, in the various countries, wherever he has gone, he has earned name. And let us all make effort to make India economically strong to achieve this target. And we should contribute towards this. I hope this 3 days deliberations here will be very useful to us. I wish all success to this summit, and I hope you will contribute toward achieving this big target which Prime Minister of India has set. Let us all make this effort and this difficult task to very soft task. Let's achieve it. My good wishes to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your message and also certain policy interventions and initiatives which the government has been taking towards creating a more conducive and facilitating environment. And as you mentioned, certain sectors which we need to concentrate on, and it has to be efforts by all so as to make this so-called impossible actually as I am possible. So thank you once again for encouraging everyone. And with that, may I request the Honorable Minister to release the knowledge pack for the Global Summit 2020. This knowledge pack, ladies and gentlemen, as it is being released, it has articles relating to the theme by renowned economists and the speakers. And we now have the release of the Institute publication containing verbatim of a national symposium on cost audit, which was on the theme Stakeholders Value Proposition. And this was held at Mumbai on the 20th December 2019, where Honorable Shri Suresh Prabhuji, the ex-cabinet minister, now the Member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha, was the chief guest. Such national symposiums were also held in 2007. That time the theme was Cost Audit, the Way Ahead, when Justice Rajendra Sachar was the chief guest. In 2013, there was again a symposium which was on the theme Cost Audit for Inclusive Growth, where Honorable Shri Venkaiah Naidu ji, the Vice President, was the chief guest. Now the Vice President was the chief guest. And the Institute has been organizing these symposiums so as to understand the views of various stakeholders of the economy towards utility of the cost audit and how to strengthen it for the growth of the Indian economy. As we have the release of the publications of the technical cell, I would like to invite here CMA Dr. Dhananjay Joshi, the chairman of the technical cell. May I also request CMA Shri DC Bajaj, CMA Shri Chandra Vadva, and CMA Shri Kunal Banerjee to please join us as we have the release of the publications by the technical cell. All the members they are, and the former president, the 4 pillars of the cost audit mechanism. And may I request our honorable chief guest to please release these publications of the technical cell. Thank you once again to the Honorable Minister, thanking also the members of the technical cell. Many congratulations to them for these publications coming out with them, which is going to be guidance to everyone. May I now request CMA Biswaroop Basu, the Vice President of the Institute of the Cost Accountants of India, to kindly propose a formal vote of thanks as we conclude the session. Ladies and gentlemen, post this, we are also going to be having the national anthem, and further to it, also a group photograph of all the Central Council members.
A very good morning to all of you. Respected our Honorable Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Honorable Som Prakash ji, our Honorable President of the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Balwinder Singh, Honorable luminaries in the dais, luminaries of the dais, our illustrious past President. It is my proud pleasure to be present here today. I express my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to our distinguished guest, Honorable Som Prakash ji, Honorable Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, for his kind presence and valuable address. I am also grateful to CMA Manoj Mishra, CMD National Fertilizer Limited, for his valuable address. I am also thankful to Mr. Alan Johnson, Deputy President IFAC, for his keynote address on role of management accounting professional in economic development. Development has the key plank of vision given by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi since his party came to power in 2014. The country saw a GDP growth of 1.85 trillion to 2.65 trillion in these 5 years. The PM in his second term has given a vision of India becoming a 5 trillion economy by 2024, thus becoming the third largest economy in the world and probably rather certainly a developed nation. According to Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant, India will have to grow at 8% annually to become USD 5 trillion economy by 2024-25 from USD 2.67 trillion at present. The task is stupendous but quite achievable provided the guiding vision is put to effective execution. The Prime Minister's optimism is reflected in his statement that earlier India was walking, but now India will be running. I am personally thankful to all the illustrious past presidents for their continued support, love and affection showered on us. I am also thankful to all the members for their kind presence. And before I conclude, I will pay my tribute to Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic worlds, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches his arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its daily way and dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into that ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. My Father, let my country awake. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And with this beautiful vision and poem of Rabindranath Tagore, ladies and gentlemen, may I request you all to now rise at your positions as we stand for the greater growth and glory of this great nation of ours. We have the national anthem. Request you to please stand.
Jana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkal Vanga Vindhya Himachal Yamuna Ganga Ujjala Jaladhi Taranga तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Jai Hind. May I request now all the Central Council members to please join us for a group photograph. If I can request him to please come on the dais a little fast, as the Honorable Minister has to leave, we'll have the group photograph, and with that we'll close this session. Um, in fact, the national anthem and the beautiful words of Rabindranath Tagore, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, have actually also the visionary people who had wanted India to be shaped where the head is held high, and we have people and a growth which is more pro-people, inclusive, equitable, where we are able to protect our environment. We have been able to work together, guiding India towards becoming a wish guru. Probably that dream can come true with all of us working together and working towards the target, which seems, of course, to be approachable now. For the government support is there and the vision is there. Thanking once again our Honorable Minister. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the tea is being served. In fact, yes, probably we'll go for tea, and then we wanted to have a MOU signing, but as you can see, people have already started moving towards the tea. So we'll have our tea, 10 minutes, if we can have a quick 10 to 15 minutes, and then we first have the MOU signing. That's between the Institute of Cost Accountants of India and the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, and then we'll start with our plenary session. Request you to please have your tea, which is being served on the either sides, please.